All right, my friends, welcome back to All Cars Reacts. This week we are doing a new Motorweek reaction video. It is the 2014 Infiniti Q50. So a couple of comments before we jump into it. First off, this one is all me. This one is for me. I actually thought about this, and it's because I love this car. Legitimately love this car. Don't worry, I will gush about it more through the video. And coincidentally, just yesterday, I went to the store and saw a two-door version of this. So it was on my mind how much I like these cars. The same thing is the irony that depending on the order I upload these videos in, the previous week, I think it was last week, I actually did an 86 LeSabre. And part of my logic there is that I've done so many of the 90s and 2000s, I wanted to go back to the 80s. So this week I jumped forward to 2014. So I guess the average, probably about 95. Anyway, as always, this is just you and me sitting down, reminiscing not too long ago, about 10 years now. Grab your beverage of choice. We do have coffee this morning, of course. Make yourself comfortable. And let's just take a little trip down memory lane.
With exciting new entries like the Cadillac ATS, proving that the Euro sports sedan segment has never been riper for the picking, you'd think it'd be perfect timing for a new Infiniti G-Series to build on its already great reputation. Well, that's not the way Infiniti sees it. With a brand-wide renaming strategy that returns them to their roots, they've done away with the G, naming their next-generation compact sports sedan the Q50. Infiniti's new naming strategy, simply put, labels all sedans and coupes with the letter Q, akin to the first Infiniti Q45 back in 1990, and all SUVs with the letters QX. The 2014 Infiniti Q50 has nothing else in common.
Okay, let's talk about that. First off, I'm outspoken against alphanumeric naming. I really am, but at least some manufacturers, it still means something. I miss having those glorious names on cars. And, you know, a TLX doesn't carry as much emotion. It doesn't evoke as much emotion as a Corsair, a Navigator, an Aviator, for example. I give all the credit in the world to Lincoln for keeping names. But there's good ways to do names and there's bad ways to do names. And honestly, I did like the German method, at least if you're going to have a designator for the level of your car, you know, CE, S-Class. And then you're going to make some numbers associated with it that have something to do with maybe the size of the engine, you know, 330, 328, whatever it happens to be, 318. Perfect. Now you add some other letters in there, like an I if it's fuel injected, or if it's a D for diesel, or maybe an X because it's got all-wheel drive. That all makes sense. It gets confusing and stupid, but at least it makes sense. But that's not what Infiniti does. And I have to say, this car makes me sad because it is such a representation of everything that's wrong over at Infiniti and at Nissan. So, well, the Q is our top of the line. And then we've got the M and we've got the G. And the G35 and the G37 were exceptional vehicles. They were right there in terms of handling and fun with BMW. Maybe not quite as plush and as nice, but they were right there. And I love the G series. So what did they do? Well, they threw it away. And they said, well, if Q is our top of the line, we'll just name everything Q. Okay, I hate that. Oh, and then we're going to call it the 50. Now, it's got a 3.7 liter, but we're going to call it the 50. Why? I truly believe this ranks as one of the dumbest renaming of a brand in history. Feel free to let me know one that's dumber, where you make everything Q, everything QX, you throw some numbers at it. It's not really based on anything. Hate it. Hate it. You know, I mean, even like the 4-door is the Q50, but the 2-door is the Q60. Why? Anyway, I love this car. for the most part. If you've watched any of my videos over the years, I love many of the cars, but I'm talking this one, sitting in it when it was new. I was in a position monetarily and in desire to have more of a sports sedan, and this car did it for me. There was 3 things that kept me out of one, and so I'll get to that in a little bit, but let's let them talk. I'm going to step down off of my soapbox here about their dumb naming.
With that first Q45. Indeed, this new Q replaces the G Series sports sedan in the lineup, or so we thought, as Infiniti has since announced that the G37 sedan will remain available through 2015. And now that we've gotten that squared away, we must also say that the new Q50 is much more than just a G with a new name. It's a virtually all-new luxury sports sedan that not only goes up against segment leaders like the BMW 3 Series, but sets the tone for Infiniti cars to come. And just like a well-tailored suit hides the bad while enhancing the good, the Q's flowing body panels add a premium look to the athletic proportions of this compact rear-wheel drive sporty four-door. Clearly, it is more attractive than any prior G sedan, but that might be where the love affair ends. More on that later. The standard powertrain...
Nope, before they go on to the engine, let's go back here just a little bit. All right, so let's talk about the styling, okay? I legitimately, unironically, believed when this came out, it was the best looking premium, near luxury sedan. I think Nissan nailed the styling on this car. The front grille was aggressive, but not too big. The headlights weren't squinty, but nor did they get bubulous. It looks tailored. I like how they said that. It looks sharp. At the rear, they kind of add a little more organic rounding into it, but it all works for me. There's shades of some Ultima in here, and there's also some shades of the G37 in here. But unironically, this is one of the best looking near luxury premium level cars from the 2010s. I truly believe it. And what really shocked me is, what makes me sad is that it's an example of Infiniti's inept leadership or their Nissan overlords not investing in them. This car was 11 years old when they finally just canceled it. And they've only done a few updates along the way. It's essentially the same car with the same flaws and strengths. So they just let it languish. And they had a killer on their hands that needed some work and needed some refresh. It makes me extremely sad. But what I was going to say is, what's shocking is, I told you I just saw one yesterday in a parking lot. It's amazing how good looking this thing looks. It looks aggressive and it looks purposeful. Is it as good looking as maybe the C-Class now? Or you could argue the 3 Series or Audi? No. Those cars have had 2 or 3 updates since this thing's been released. But I'm telling you that I might be on Auto Trader after this looking for a used one. I'm not in the market to buy a car right now, but man, I like these. Okay, again, soapbox. I'll step down.
The standard powertrain does carry over from the G, which is just fine by us, as the smooth-running 3.7-liter V6 with its 328 horsepower and 269 pound-feet of torque has always been one of our favorites. A 3.5-liter V6-based hybrid is also available, as is all-wheel drive with either engine. A 7-speed automatic transmission with manual mode and downshift rev matching is standard. There's no true manual gearbox, but sport models do come with solid magnesium paddle shifters mounted on the steering column, not on the steering wheel itself, a touch serious drivers will like. Driving modes include Snow, Eco, Standard, and Sport, as well as a personalized setting with engine, transmission, and suspension all responding accordingly. If equipped with Infiniti's new direct adaptive steering steer-by-wire system, it will be adjusted as well. Now, our Q50 Sport was not so equipped, and while we would have liked to sample the system for ourselves, based on most reports, we were better off without it.
Okay, and I'm glad they brought that up, and I'm glad they talked about it. I said there were three things about this car that truly, truly kept me from it. What they just showed there, not much, but what they showed there of the interior, I like most of it. I like the steering wheel. I like the gauges. I don't love the center stack. It looked busy and two different screens, and it never felt premium. It kind of was similar to what Lincoln was doing in their cars, with these vertical vents. And I don't know. It never looked overly premium. The interior was always kind of a turnoff. The other thing that was a big one was the front window and the A-pillar right here. When I got into one of these the first time, super excited to finally get in one and be able to feel it, touch it, drive it. It felt like the A-pillar was right here. I mean, it just felt like it was right in my face the whole time. Didn't love the front portion of this car. And then the last one and the absolute killer is the steering. Now, this car has been widely criticized for its steering since it was introduced. And the best I can say about it is it was memorably bad. I mean, most of the time you don't think about steering too much. And I'm not talking about going on a track. Okay, I'm not talking about racing the car. I'm just talking about day-to-day driving. You don't really notice steering. You get used to it. If it's a little light or if it's a little heavy, you move from an Accord to a Camry, you can feel a difference, but you get used to it. This was memorably bad, and I can't even describe it. It was like a PlayStation. It really, you were not connected to anything remotely. It just felt digital. It was horrible. Compare that with getting in a BMW, which felt much more in touch with the driver. Even if you're just looking for a comfortable upscale cruiser, this was horrible. So what Nissan needed to do was say, oh, okay, let's refresh it and fix the steering or go back to hydraulic. And they just let it languish for 11 years. I think they actually did address it at some point, but they didn't make it competitive. Regardless, it was horrible. Let's see how it does on the track.
As we found handling actually quite good through our slalom course. Even on a very cold track, there was plenty of grip and only mild understeer. Throttle on oversteer could also be initiated, but it took a little work to do so. Back on the downside, even with the standard speed-sensitive steering, road feel is hard to come by. You feel disconnected from the car. Apparently, that only gets worse with steer-by-wire. The Q is certainly not alone here, as most top-tier sports sedans seem to be trading wheel feel for luxury, but that doesn't mean we have to like it. We do like the power that comes on in a rush as you jump to 60 in just 5.3 seconds. The momentum doesn't let up from there as you clear the quarter mile in 13.6 seconds at 103 miles per hour. Braking is also very good, with stops from 60 averaging a short 117 feet. When it comes to
that is outstanding results. Super impressive. I got no problems with any of that, other than the fact I think that car looks good. Have I mentioned that yet?
The interior, there is also little to remind you of the G. Both material quality and luxury appointments are taken to a new level. It's also a very customizable environment with a programmable iKey system that recognizes and adjusts seating, climate, audio navigation, and telematics settings for up to 4 drivers. All seats offer good support, and while for the most part the dual touchscreen interface works well, it's yet another reminder of the Q50's luxury over sport priorities. Government fuel economy ratings are fairly average at 20 city, 29 highway, and 23 combined, though we managed a very good 26.3 miles per gallon.
Okay, so remember I told you that I did, if depending on the order I upload these, the 86 Buick LeSabre. What an astonishing difference. That car made 150 horsepower. It did 19 city, 30 highway and took 12.8 seconds 0 to 60. Here we are 30 years later, similar sized engine, almost exactly the same, 5.3 seconds and better gas mileage. And overall, the LeSabre got 22. This gets 26. I mean, they're totally different categories. They're 30 years apart from each other, but it's shocking to do one of these and then do another one from so far apart and see how much the car's actually improved. Oh.
Premium. The energy impact score is acceptable at 14.3 barrels of oil burned annually with CO2 emissions of 6.4 tons. The change from G to Q has also come with an increase in price as a base Q50 goes for $37,955. Sport models start at $44,455. The 2014 Infiniti Q50 is better looking, more luxurious, and still has great performance. So why aren't we crazy about it? Well, it's lost that edge that makes a sports sedan so desirable to us. The BMW 3 Series and Cadillac ATS have done a better job in the trade-off between luxury and performance. A lot more steering feel would help the Q50 and maybe a true manual gearbox option. In short, put a little more of the old G in the new Q and we think it will be A-okay.
Very interesting. So they mentioned the Cadillac ATS twice, and they mentioned the steering in this at least 3 times. They may have even done it 4. Kind of driving home my opinion of it too. They didn't say anything about it being a little uncomfortable with that A-pillar right there, but I've never forgotten this car. I kind of took it off the list. I put it away, decided, you know, even if I could afford a $40,000 car, probably wasn't the smart thing to do, but I still love it. I think it is truly one of the best looking cars of at least the 2010s. I love it that much. And yeah, I would love to own one. And you know what? I think if I drove it and never drove anything else, I'd be okay with the steering. But it's that knowledge that there was always something a little bit better out there. Either that the G was sportier and more razor sharp, or that the BMW was better overall, or that the C series, C-Class was more luxurious. I don't know. I would really like one of these. I really would. I love them that much. But I will close with, it makes me sad because they introduced this and it was a refresh. Some new changes away from being a great, I believe, a great car at a time where the Q went away, the top of the line Q, the M series went away, and they were transitioning to SUVs. And the whole Infiniti brand, where's their 5, 10, 20-year plan? Where's their plan for new models? They introduced, this feels very much like an Infiniti thing. They introduced this and they're like, look at us. And then it just sits there. You know, they introduced the J and then just let it go. So they introduced the M, they made it souped up, right? They made it more of a muscle car, and then they just dropped it too. And then, you know, what happened with the Q, and there was no plan to constantly improve the products. You know, it's not a surprise that they would move away from cars. What is a surprise is that they just kept throwing things at the wall to see what sticks, and nothing ever did. So let me know your thoughts below, guys. I appreciate you spending a few minutes with me here today to reminisce about truly one of my favorite cars of the 2010s. Thanks for being here, y'all.